Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles and the Chicago White Sox in Game 1 of the American League Championship Series.
It's that magic feeling, the magic Orioles. It's that magic feeling, the magic Orioles.
Orioles 83, brought to you by Busch Beer. Remember, don't just reach for a beer, head for the mountain. Nissan, builders of high-mileage, high-quality cars and trucks for 50 years. Available at your Datsun dealer. Ezrine Auto Centers and your local independent General Tire dealers. Coca-Cola. Coke is it. Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's the most important card you carry.
The magic Orioles. It's that magic feeling, the magic Orioles. Magic feeling, that magic feeling, that magic feeling, that magic.
What a very pleasant good afternoon, baseball fans, and welcome to Memorial Stadium, Game 1 of the 1983 American League Championship Series. Chuck Thompson and Brooks Robinson, and this is what it's all about, and I mean not to cast any aspersions on the World Series, which is baseball's classic, and rightly so, but to tell you the honest-to-goodness truth, it might get to be almost anticlimactic. The Orioles and the Chicago White Sox, absolutely the two best teams in the American League, are battling in the American League Championship Series this year. And Brooks, 162 games behind us. The White Sox have won 99, the Orioles win 98, and it might come down to just 3 games.
Chuck, I tell you, Pete Rose put it aptly last night when he said the World Series is a piece of cake when it compares to the playoffs. I've played in both. I've won, I've lost, and believe me, losing in the playoff is really a downer. That is no fun at all. And it's 3 out of 5, and once you get behind, it's awful tough to catch up when you're only playing 3 out of 5.
Well, Brooks, let's take a look. Your comparison and your evaluation of the White Sox and the Orioles.
Both of them had tremendous second halves. Both of them came alive. The White Sox got straightened out defensively. But the big thing over the second half, Hoyt, Dodson, and Bannister went 42-5. And you can imagine 3 pitchers winning 42 games, only losing 5 the second half. That's the reason they're in the playoffs. The Orioles just outran everyone else going down the stretch the second half. Murray and Ripken played sensational baseball. And what I think it comes down to, Chuck, is can we dent the White Sox starting pitching? That is the key. The other thing is, can we keep Rudy Law off the bases? We were very good at doing that during the season, but he stole 77 bases. He's a prolific base stealer. It doesn't make any difference who's pitching. When he's on base, he's going to steal. But the best thing you can do when you have a player like that is make him make an out and go back to the bench.
Brooks, the fact that the Orioles won 7 out of the 12 between the two clubs this year, and any bearing at all on this championship series?
It's out the window. That doesn't make any difference. I think all these players are really, a lot of them are wondering how they're going to play under this type of pressure. And there is a lot of pressure, and all of them have a question mark in their mind. But as far as what they did during the season against one another, I don't think it means a thing, because early in the year, the White Sox were playing terrible when we went in there. The second time we saw him, Eddie Murray had just returned to the lineup, didn't get a hit in 3 or 4 games, so that doesn't really matter.
So this afternoon, then, Brooks, is the start of a brand-new season. Now, we've talked about you making a dent. You said the Orioles have to make a dent in the White Sox starting pitching. Agreed. Power-wise, they are almost even, and their abilities are very similar, a little bit of an edge in team speed to the White Sox. What about defensively? How do they line up that way?
I would say early in the year, certainly the White Sox had the worst defensive team in the American League, but Fletcher has stabilized his shortstop. Vance Law has played great baseball the second half at third base, and that's been a key. Julio Cruz came over from Seattle and really helped this White Sox ball club defensively. He gave him added speed, but he also played a fantastic second base for him. He covered a lot more ground than Bernazard. So it's a toss-up. This is our best defensive club, with Ripken, with Dower, and with Cruz at third.
I kind of laughed a little bit when you talked about the White Sox defense early in the year, Brooks, because you remember the ball game, and I guess a lot of you looking in, they made 6 errors in the ball game for a record. So they did have trouble with their defense, but they did straighten it out. Now, to be more specific, what about Lamar Hoyt? What kind of a pitcher is he?
McGregor and Hoyt are very similar. They bend, but they don't break. They're going to throw strike. We talk about how great McGregor's control is. Hoyt has been even better. So there you're going to hit the ball. They're not going to strike out a lot of players. And when they do get men on base, they're able to get out of the game without large innings. They throw up some home runs. Both of them have thrown up 27 home runs this year, but most of the time there's not too many men on base. So they're very similar. They make you hit the ball. Hoyt is a pitcher who likes to come inside. He comes inside on right-hand hitters. McGregor's going to try to stay away from just about everyone.
One other question, Brooks, about the Orioles this afternoon. Rick Dempsey is catching against the right-hander Hoyt.
That's a good point. You have Hoyt and Cruz, who are number 2 and 4 this year in the American League in stolen bases. And if one catcher in the American League can cut that down, that is Rick Dempsey, who I think is the best throwing catcher in the American League. But the other thing, point in case, Chuck, is our pitchers have to give him some help. They have to hold these players close to the base. If you don't hold them close to the base, Dempsey's not going to be a factor.
How do you rate McGregor in holding men on?
I rate him very good.
Well, Brooks, you said something a little bit before we came on the air, and I think it bears repeating because I have a feeling that it could happen that way. And it was something about the guy who wins the first game.
Well, that happens, Chuck, but in 73 and 74, we won the first game from Oakland. That's right. We lost the last 3 out of 4. But it's really a factor, especially here at home. I mean, I'd hate to go out to in Chicago without a win, but it's very important when you play 3 out of 5 to get on top and see what happens.
Well, all of the regular season play behind us, and everything comes right down to this championship series, and we'll be back with the start of Game 1 right after this message. They're ready for the first game. Law leads off center field. I guess most of you have probably seen these, but we'll repeat it anyway. Carlton Fisk, batting number 2 and catching, and Brooks will talk a little bit more about that this afternoon. Number 3 hitter, first baseman Tom Paciorek. The number 4 batter and a darn good hitter with power is Greg Luzinski, the designated hitter. Batting 5 in left field is the celebrated rookie Ron Kittle, 35 home runs and 100 runs batted in. The number 6 hitter, what a player this fellow's going to be, nothing but better in the future, right fielder Harold Baines. Batting 7, the third baseman Vance Law. The number 8 batter is the shortstop Scott Fletcher, and batting 9 at second base will be Jose Cruz. Well, we're ready for the first game, and McGregor will take on Rudy Law, who hit .283 on the season.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chuck.
And stole 77 bases.
That's true. He's 0-56 against the Orioles in the ball games that he did play on, and as we mentioned before, this is he's 77 bases during the season. Second to Ricky Henderson in Oakland.
Plate umpire doing the ball and strike job is Jim McKean, and there are 6 umpires in the game this afternoon. This is the first effort from Eddie Murray. Unassisted, 1 down. Rudy Law gone on the sharply stroked ground ball to Eddie Murray. To complete the rundown on the umpires, if you take a look at the Oriole 18-game winner, Scott McGregor, Jim McKean, ball and strike umpire, Durwood Merrill, first base, second base, Nick Bremigan, third base, crew chief Jim Evans, left field line, Dave Phillips, right field line, Mike Riley. Well, here's Carlton Fisk. Early in the year, Brooksy was hitting 190-something in the number 6 hole. They moved him up to number 2.
Well, they moved him up by accident, to tell the truth, Chuck, but it has really worked out well for the White Sox. And I think one of the reasons that he has hit better is the fact with Rudy Law on first base, if you're hitting second in the lineup, you are going to get a lot more fastballs to hit. The other thing, with the players behind you, like Paciorek, Luzinski, Kittle, that means that you're going to see better pitches to hit, too. But Fisk is the MVP for the White Sox as far as I'm concerned. His overall play, handling pitchers, and hitting makes him my MVP candidate.
Well, a .289 hitter on the year. 1 ball, 1 strike, 26 home runs, 86 runs batted in. But as Brooks pointed out, in the games he played against the Orioles, 11 of them this year, this man hit .378.
Well, I'm more afraid of Fisk and Paciorek than I am Luzinski and Kittle. They have wore the Orioles out most of the year.
Talk about a turnaround, and I think that's been the story of maybe both the Orioles and the White Sox. The White Sox early in the year had nothing but terrible times. Hard breaking ball from McGregor. Might have been a slider, not at all sure. Count is 2-2.
3:09 down each line here at Memorial Stadium. A pretty good breeze blowing to right field. If you get the ball up, a long high fly ball, it's going to carry much better to right than to left today.
McGregor's 2-2 offering to Carlton Fisk. Well, Both batters have hit the ball very sharply. Rudy Law sharply hit ground ball to first baseman Murray. Carlton Fisk, as you saw, the line drive into the glove of Cruz. And batter number 3 is Tom Paciorek. And Paciorek against the Orioles this year in 9 games hit a flat .400.
He had a couple of very big days where he got 3, 4, 5 hits in a couple of those games, and that contributed to having a great year against the Orioles. He is not going to hurt you like Luzinski or Kittle are going to hurt you. He's going to pound the ball around, line drives right, left, but he is not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark with the consistency.
That's the bread and butter pitch from Scott McGregor, one of the bread and butter pitches, that fine breaking ball, and he's ahead of Paciorek, strike 1. Another one, huh?
That was the big curve, and McGregor's not going to change his style. He's going to pitch like he pitched all year. Change speeds and big breaking ball, fastball away.
2-strike pitch. 1-2 now.
A lot of pitchers who have more physical ability. No one uses his head any better than McGregor. He's always keeps you in the game, even when he doesn't have his good stuff.
2 balls, 2 strikes now to Tom Paciorek. 2 out, nobody on. If you just happen to turn the set on, we're in the top of the first inning. Another grand sellout crowd still arriving. Here is Cruz's opportunity for the 3rd out of the inning. That's it. The White Sox go 1, 2, 3 at the end of the first half. Chicago nothing. The Orioles are coming to bat. Quickly, we'd like to remind you the telecast is broadcast under rights purchased by WMAR-TV from Baltimore Baseball Incorporated. It's intended solely for the private use of our viewers. Any rebroadcast or other transmission of the description of the game without the express written consent of WMAR-TV strictly prohibited. And now the Oriole batting orders. They come out against Lamar Hoyt. Al Bumbry leading off center field. Batting 2, Dan Ford in right field. The number 3 hitter, Cal Ripken, shortstop. Batting 4, Eddie Murray, first base. Number 5 batter, John Lowenstein, left field. Batting 6, designated hitter, Ken Singleton. Batting 7, the second baseman, Rich Dower. The number 8 batsman is third baseman Todd Cruz. Batting 9 and catching is Rick Dempsey. Well, here comes Bumbry, a .275 hitter on the year, and he didn't fare that well against the White Sox in 9 games. He hit .154.
Bumbry platooned with John Shelby in center field. In fact, all 3 of the positions in the outfield have been platooned this year for the Orioles. They're getting a good look right now at Al Bumbry facing Lamar Hoyt. 24-10, has won 13 in a row.
And that's something you'll see him do frequently in 260 and 2/3 innings this year. The man you're looking at, Lamar Hoyt, walked only 31 batters. That's incredible.
Well, he is getting his dues this year, Chuck. He will be the Cy Young Award winner. There's a little ball to Cruz at second base, and Bumbry's out. That was a changeup, breaking ball. Bumbry out in front of it. Pull a ground ball to Cruz at second base.
Now, you take a look at the Lamar Hoyt, and he is not put together the way you would imagine a great Cy Young Award-winning pitcher ought to be put together. But I'll tell you something. He just does nothing but get the job done. His figures really are astounding. This is his 37th start. He made 36 in the regular season, completed 11 in 260 and 2/3 innings, allowed only 236 hits. More importantly, as I mentioned, walked only 31 men and struck out 148, and his earned run was just a little better than 3.5 a game if there is a chink in the armor. If he threw 27 home run pitches.
Anyone that stays around the plate as much as Hoyt does and as much as McGregor is going to throw up home runs, and I think that's one of the reasons. He is not going to give in to you. He is going to make you hit the ball. And he had a good chuckle at a little, someone said the other day, they call him the Incredible Balt.
Yeah. Well, manager Joe Altobelli wanted Dan Ford in this afternoon's lineup. On the year, Dan hitting .280, but against the Chicago White Sox in 9 games, Dan swung the bat at a .389 pace. And that's the man we're talking about, Altobelli. What a magnificent job he did with this ball club. I think one of the more important contributions was the fact that Altobelli never under any circumstances could be called guilty of over-managing. It never happened. 2 strikes to Dan Ford. Al Hoyt seems kind of happy about things. I thought he made a very honest and candid statement, Brooks, and it kind of parallels what you said as we look at the on-deck hitter Ripken. He said, you know, it's I don't feel any extra pressure. He said, after all, look at the guys I got coming out here after me, even if I don't win. Dan gets a piece of it.
Well, that's a good feeling to have. And as we mentioned before, there's 3 starting pitchers this first 3 games. The last half of the season were 42-5. Dotson, he won 22 games. Bannister finished strong. So that is going to be the Orioles' problem, to try to put a dent in this starting pitching that the White Sox have.
2 strikes to Ford, out of play. I'll tell you one thing, Richard Dotson, I'm pretty sure, must look at the Oriole batting order and wonder, what do I have to do? Dotson, as you recall, pitched a 1-hitter against Baltimore. Dan Ford beat him with a home run. Then he pitched a 3-hitter against Baltimore and got beat 2-1.
Dotson is probably pitching overall better than anyone on that White Sox staff, and it surprised me a little that he didn't pitch the second day, but they did not want to mess up the rotation. That's the way the rotation has been all year. Hoyt, Bannister, Dotson, so they let it go at that. You got Vance Law, Fletcher at shortstop. You got Julio Cruz at second base, Pashoric at first base. That's a pretty good defensive infield.
Outfield plays Ford to go straight away or to the opposite field. Good fastball. Might have been up and out of the strike zone. The gesture from Ford indicates that he would rather have just looked at that pitch than swing at it. As you take a look at the countenance of one Tony La Russa. What a great job La Russa has done. You talk about the manager of the year in the American League, and you talk about La Russa, you talk about Joe Altobelli, and you talk about the man in Toronto, Bobby Cox. It'll be rather interesting to see which way it goes.
Well, you want my picks, or you just
I do want your pick.
Okay,
yes.
I think La Russa is going to be the manager of the year in the American League.
Do you agree with that pick, if he is?
Well, that's another question. Let me see. I would, Chuck, it's just like Ripken and Murray. How are you going to pick one of them?
I don't know.
I would say that La Russa would get the nod simply because I think they feel like he took a club that was not as good as the Orioles and won, whereas Altobelli took over a pretty good club and was able to win. Now, if you're talking about MVP, it's going to be between Ripken and Murray. I think Murray's going to get the nod by a slim margin. It'll be interesting.
Count to Cal Ripken, 1 ball, 1 strike. This is the first playoff for the White Sox. They haven't had a title since when? 59.
59. They were in the World Series against the Dodgers.
This will be number 7 for the Orioles. And the 1-1 to Ripken.
Saw a great lady here today that I had a nice chat with. Nellie Fox's wife was here.
Saw her downstairs, yes, with her lovely daughter.
She said she was here to celebrate. It's been a long time since the White Sox have gotten to the playoffs.
Well, the 1-2 offering now to Ripken with 2 out and nobody on. No score, bottom of the first. Got a piece of it.
I'd say if there's a key to the, as far as what Chicago has to do, is to shut down Ripken and Murray. If they shut Ripken and Murray down, then the Orioles are going to have some problems. Cal Ripken Jr. led the American League in runs, hits, doubles, hit .318.
Here, watching the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch, Brooks, is one of the things that the Orioles have really tried to think about. They have got to make Hoyt throw strikes. Even though he doesn't walk people, he will waste a lot of pitches. Now he's got a full count, and the chances of him walking Ripken are not too good. Of course, he got 6 of one and a half a dozen of the other. Ripken, of course, has got to be ready, and I'm certain that Hoyt doesn't want to walk anybody in front of Eddie Murray. Now here's your third baseman, Vance Law, on a rather routine play, and the inning is over. At the end of the first inning, game 1, it's the Orioles nothing, the White Sox nothing. Got some good news for you. If an Oriole hits a home run during this afternoon's Equitable Bank home run sweepstakes inning, a lucky fan will win $1,500 or more. The batter happens to hit it with the bases loaded. We're still there. $1 million, Brooks. We have a few more chances to give it away. This afternoon, it would be in effect, and so far as Oriole fans are concerned, nothing could be better than an Oriole win in this championship series, and then to kind of add a little icing to the cake, a home run in the Equitable Bank home run inning that would award somebody $1 million would be just a sensational finish to what has been an outstanding year. Second inning, Greg Luzinski, a .255 hitter on the year, 32 home runs, 95 runs batted in. Out of play, and Brooks has made a good point about this man. He looks the part of a power hitter. He is a power hitter, but he's a pretty good hitter, pure and simple hitter.
He always has been. He's had some good average years, and he's just big and strong, low fastball hitter. And you say, well, look, McGregor's a low ball pitcher, but if you're a pitcher like McGregor, you go to your strength, and whatever happens, happen. If you're going to try to get him out, I think you'll see Mac just like that. Tried to run a fastball by him, and he got it.
The wind has got it.
Got him
for 2.
Well, you're right. It was McGregor made the pitch he wanted to on Lozinski. It was a high fastball, a little above the belt. Got him to hit it down the right field line here. That's the wind blowing out now. Murray's got a long run. There's no way in the world Murray's going to catch this ball, mainly because of the way the wind's blowing. And no one was there. It dropped in. The throw to second base would have had Lozinski if Ripken holds onto the ball. It looks like he's got it there in time, and he would have been out.
He tried to make the tag before he caught the ball, and Lozinski then is in with a double. And the first hit of the ball game, the first scoring opportunity of the ball game, triggered by Greg Lozinski. And now Ron Kittle, the celebrated rookie. Ball 1 to Kittle. He hit .254 on the year with 35 home runs and 100 runs batted in. And against Oriole pitching this year very well. He had .306, a couple of home runs.
He hurt the Orioles early in the season. The last 2 series that we had against the White Sox, Oriole pitching dominated him. But he is a player, if you get it in the wrong spot, you can kiss it goodbye, because he can hit them just as far as anyone. He's got some holes. He can be pitched to. If you get it to the right spot, you can get him out.
And that appeared to be one of the right spots.
McGregor has thrown to Lozinski and to Kittle, probably the last 2 or 3 pitches, as hard as he's going to throw all year.
Nobody out as Lozinski's windblown pop-up falls for a double. That'll be out of play. Almost into the booth next door, and they're all occupied here this afternoon at Memorial Stadium. Bob Brown, the Baltimore Orioles' most able public relations director, informed that this is the greatest media crush, for the lack of a better expression, that he has ever been subjected to, including World Series. That takes care of Kittle. Strikeout number 1 for McGregor.
It's a big strikeout. Turned the ball over a little, kept it away, a little out of the strike zone, and Kittle's anxious. He likes to swing the bat.
Well, here is Harold Baines, and Harold is hitting .280 on the year. Reggie Jackson made a statement about this young man I thought was kind of good, and I think it really sums up the situation. He said, here is a quiet man with a loud bat. Now, that sounds pretty good to me.
Well, that is a good point. But he has been the most consistent clutch performer for this White Sox club all year. He led the league in game-winning hits with 22. He's had a fantastic finish, and he hits left-handers just as good as he hits right-handers.
Hit .256 against the Orioles in the 12 games between the 2 clubs. Popped him up. Now Dower, the second baseman, is calling for it. That takes care of Baines. Now Brooks mentioned the wind, and you saw a classic example. You saw a classic example of it on the ball hit by Greg Lozinski. Vernon Law, or rather Vance Law, Vernon being his father, .243 hitter, and the third baseman for Chicago. We're laughing because a piece of copy was handed to us, and it just blew right out of the booth.
Upper deck.
Which gets a standing ovation from all of the broadcasters along the row. Here is Law, the famous son of a famous father, and a strike to Vance. Vance hit .182 in 12 games against the Orioles, but sometimes in these sort of games, playoffs, World Series, these are the fellows that hurt you most of all.
Oh, that's very true. And Law looks for the ball out over the plate. He likes to go the other way, try to hit the ball to right field as much as he possibly can. McGregor has stayed away from him the first 2 pitches, but I got an idea. If he wants to get him out, he might try to run it inside on him.
Two balls, a strike. Shortstop Cal Ripken is kind of favoring the bag a little bit, more or less plugging up the middle, and there's a big, big hole between Ripken and third baseman Cruz off the third base side of the infield.
And the outfield is shading him in the right field. Bumbry on the right field side of second base.
2-1 pitch to Vance Law. Right field, the wind blowing. Here comes Dan Ford and Eddie Murray.
It's going to be a tough
Dan
play.
Ford is there. That's the final out. At the end of an inning and a half, it rolls along. Chicago nothing, Baltimore nothing. I'd like to remind you that the Big Mac attack will continue throughout the playoffs. However, please do not send any additional entries in. The winners' names have been drawn from all of the entries received throughout the 1983 season. We just wanted you to know that the Big Mac would be with us throughout the playoffs. Going now to the Oriole half of the second inning, and here is Eddie Murray, 306 hitter on the year, and against the Chicago White Sox in 10 games, 250, and he did not hit a home run against Chicago's pitching. 33 against the other guys.
Eddie having just a fantastic year, a good bet to be the most valuable player in the American League.
Matter of fact, the Orioles only hit one home run off Lamar Hoyt in the games played that he pitched this year, and that was hit by Leo Hernandez. Ball one to Eddie.
These clubs are so evenly matched.
That's wind whipping out towards center field and right field that Brooks commented on a little while ago. Take a look up there, Brooks. And, well, this is Cruz, and his throw to first takes care of Eddie Murray.
Well, they have been calling for rain all day, Chuck. Sometime during this ball game, we're supposed to get some showers, and to me, it looks like some dark clouds are moving in. The wind's starting to pick up.
How about this kind of a throw from Julio Cruz? He had all the time in the world and elected to sidearm the ball.
Well,
from second base, that's not that bad.
You're going to see Cruz do a few things a little differently. He's going to be jumping up in the air, diving around, and putting on a little show for you. But he has made a difference as far as the Chicago White Sox are concerned.
John Lowenstein, 280 hitter on the year and a quick strike, and Lolo against the White Sox, he did it. I mean, he really hammered Chicago pitching. He hit .458 in 9 games.
Well, I'm sure they're going to try to make some adjustments on the way they want to pitch to Lowenstein, and just from what the first pitch indicated, they're going to try to keep everything away from him. Fist moved out. The first pitch was a fastball away.
I'm not too sure, Brooks, but what if I were a manager? I would have to find a pitcher that threw Lowenstein a fastball.
You would, huh?
Yes, sir. I just have to say, give him nothing but off-speed stuff, breaking pitches.
Oh, you would find someone.
Find him, yeah. I wouldn't want him to throw any fastballs to Lowenstein unless, you know, they were sure they could put it in a perfect position.
Well, I think John's got a little age on him, Chuck, and a lot of people think that they can throw that little fastball right by him, but he is geared for that most of the time.
There's an off-speed pitch. And they get Lowenstein for the second out.
He has a very quick bat, and you're right. He can turn anybody's fastball around.
Brooks, the first 5 batters that have faced Lamar Hoyt haven't gotten the ball out of the infield yet. And now here is Ken Singleton, a .276 hitter on the year. Against Chicago, however, he had a slam-bang year. .342, 7 runs knocked in. He hit 2 home runs against Chicago pitching.
I think Kenny has probably been overlooked more than any one Oriole this year because he put together a terrific year. When you figure the 3 guys batting behind him or the 2 guys batting behind him, Chuck, did not have good statistics. And that's another reason I think that Singleton certainly deserves a lot more credit than he's gotten most of the year. With Ripken and Murray, they have done it all, but Singleton quietly has put together a very solid year.
And the 1-0 to Ken. Another ground ball and another play from first baseman Pachorik to the pitcher covering, and the Orioles again are 3 up and 3 down. At the end of 2, Baltimore nothing, Chicago nothing. Well, here is this afternoon's trivia inning, and the trivia question today is brought to you by the Provident Bank of Maryland. And here it is. This is the first time the Chicago White Sox have appeared in an American League Championship Series. However, 6 White Sox players have appeared in the American or National League Championship Series with other clubs. Can you name those 6? Brooks has got them all written down. It really isn't that hard. One of them wore an Oriole uniform earlier this year.
The questions are getting longer and tougher as the year goes on.
I hear you, Brooks. Let's go to the Chicago half of the 3rd inning. And here's a man that Brooks feels has made a considerable contribution to solidifying the Chicago infield. This is Scott Fletcher.
Fletcher, they gave Fletcher the job in spring training. A little shaky early in the year, but things turned around for him. That's a line drive, semi-line drive that Murray's got. Ripken's got for the first out.
Well, Fletcher against the league hit .237, but against the Orioles in 12 games, he hit .273, and McGregor's got him on one pitch. Now, here is the other half of the speed duo of the White Sox. This is Jose Cruz, and he stole 57 bases and was thrown out 12 times while hitting .250.
Cruz came to the White Sox in a very unpopular trade when they traded Bernazar for Cruz, but I think he has made everyone a believer. And he's a switch hitter.
To Julio.
Switch hitter. Makes it that will play a little better than Bernazard. Bernazard had more power, but he has been a very good player, and he's going to be a better player here than he was in Seattle.
McGregor with a count even at a ball and a strike to the Chicago second baseman Julio Cruz. Now here's Todd Cruz. Well, he gambled and then almost made a bad throw. Ball may have taken a kind of an unfortunate hop off the grass. It looked as though Cruz felt that he could have just picked it up without any difficulty, and suddenly stopped, and the ball went to the glove side, and he caught it right out of his left hip pocket and then threw it in the dirt.
He was playing up on the infield grass. Did not want to give up a bunt base hit single to Cruz.
Well, when Cruz and Rudy Law swinging the bat up there, you'd better be kind of shallow. As a matter of fact, the other infielders like Ripken, he's up almost at what could be called a double play depth. He might be a step deeper, because these fellas, particularly this man, just flies down the line. Rudy Law stole 77 bases this year and thrown out only 12 times. McGregor's 1-0.
They're the best duo at stealing bases since, I guess, Oakland had Campaneris and Narth. If you put 77 and 55, you've stolen a lot of bases.
Wow, haven't you? And the 1-1 offering. That's the breaking pitch from McGregor, and he didn't get the strike with it. 2 balls and a strike.
Oriole outfield, shaded to the left field.
Right by McGregor into center field for the base knock. A 2-out single by Rudy Law. And the White Sox have their second hit of the afternoon, and that brings out Carlton Fisk. Scott McGregor, really, Dame Fortune didn't smile on Scotty in the last couple of weeks of the season. In his last 5 starts, McGregor came up with 3 no decisions in his last 5 starts. He won a ball game and he lost a ball game.
Here's that situation.
Well, they've had a consultation over there at first base between Rudy Law and his first base coach. Carlton Fisk in the 3rd inning, or rather the 1st inning, in his first trip to the plate. Hit a line drive into the glove of Cruz at 3rd, and now in the 3rd inning, another base hit. He picked on the first offering, and Law will stop at second base, and the White Sox have a 2-out threat mounted against McGregor with Tom Paciorek on his way.
Looping fly ball. McGregor got inside, jammed him, and he looped it to center field for the base hit, and now comes the Oriole nemesis.
Yeah, he is a nemesis. Tom Paciorek hit better than anybody else in the starting lineup for Chicago against Baltimore pitching. Mark Hill, who only played in 4 ball games, hit .455. But Paciorek hit 409 games, 3 doubles, a triple, and 9 runs batted in. Nelson over there at first base informing Carlton Fisk of the situation. There are 2 out, and there are 2 on. And now there's a strike to Tom Paciorek. Not at all unusual to see opposition swinging on the first pitch from Scott McGregor.
Well, if you're a hitter and you're facing a Hoyt or a McGregor, you know they're going to be right around, very close to the plate just about every pitch. So you go up there thinking you're going to get a lot of swings in, and you're right, Chuck. That's one of the keys to pitching, getting ahead of the hitter. Thrown Paciorek a lot of breaking balls the first time up, and also this one. Orioles straight away on Paciorek. Started out in the Dodger organization, was also a Rookie of the Year. Was given his outright release by Atlanta, went to Seattle, And now he's having his best years in Chicago.
Lead runner Rudy Law at second base, Fisk at first base, 2 out. And the 2-1 pitch to look out. They had Murray breaking to first base behind Carlton Fisk, and McGregor ignored it and came right to the plate.
It was a sign that was messed up in some way. Had a pickoff on that time as far as Fisk was concerned. Davey Nelson, the first base coach.
That'll score Chicago's first run. And the official scorer rules a base hit.
That was a hard smash right at Cruz. Tries to stay with it. You'll see him. It's right at him. Short hops him. Gets through his legs into left field for the base hit. Rudy Law on his way home, and the White Sox have a 1-0 lead. Tough play. Cruz cannot come up with it. 4 hits for the White Sox. 1-0 lead. Greg Lazinski, the hitter.
And he's the 6th Chicago batter to face McGregor here in the top of the third. 1-0 now, Chicago. Ball 1 to Lazinski. Lazinski had a windblown pop-up double in the second inning, a ball that went down the right field side, and Murray had no chance of getting to it. He did have a chance with a throw at second base of getting Lazinski, but Ripken did not hang on to the throw, and Lazinski slid in safely with a double.
Hopped him up.
Fly ball left field, waiting for it out there. Lowenstein for the final out of the inning, watching Lowenstein. That's it. At the end of 2.5 innings of play, it's now Chicago 1, Baltimore 0. Your nearby Datsun dealers will donate $100 per Oriole telecast to the favorite charity of the Datsun Player of the Game. The Oriole player will be selected at the end of the game by Brooks and yours truly, and during this exciting playoff series, we hope that maybe you'll kind of choose along with us as we select the Datsun Player of the Game. And if you've got an idea about who it might be, we should tell Brooks and I right now, because we haven't thought about that yet. Datsun Player of the Game be a little later. Here's Rich Dower. Will it be Dower? Well, he hit .235 on the year for the Orioles, and against the White Sox in 8 games, not too good. 174. Most of the numbers, the statistics of games between Baltimore and Chicago will probably wind up favoring the White Sox. That's Mr. Lamar Hoyt, and he has impressed me about as much as any pitcher in the American League.
Well, one of the reasons that you're seeing Hoyt and McGregor pitching today is the fact if it does go to 5 games, both these pitchers can come back with 3 days rest. And that was the reason that Hoyt pitched, and that's the reason McGregor pitching. Boddicker pitching tomorrow. I think the Orioles felt that it might be a little tough for him to come back.
What a play by Vance Law, and he throws out Dower. Well, that'll be the defensive play of the game at the moment.
Dower hits this ball, but he gets jammed just a little. It looked like he pulled his arms in. He hit it right on the nose, though. You'll see Vance Law diving for it, coming up. Plenty of time to get Dower going to first base. 1 away, and the Orioles have yet to get in the hit column.
And yet to get a ball out of the infield against Lamar Hoyt.
Well, Hoyt has, he throws what we call a flat breaking ball. It doesn't really go down. It just more or less goes away from you more than anything else.
Kind of like a slider.
That's right.
Now here is Todd Cruz. He only played 3 games for the Orioles against the White Sox this year. Hit 111. That's out of play. Orioles worked, as most of you who are watching our telecast know, that they worked rather hard with Todd through the final month of the year to correct what they feel is a basic fundamental problem in his swing, and that's the fact that his hands are never still. But then again, I've talked to a lot of hitters down through the years, and you can do a lot of things. It's what happens at that moment of impact, like that. That's the first base hit. Well, here is the answer to today's trivia question brought to you by the Provident Bank of Maryland. This is the first time the White Sox have appeared in the American League Championship Series. However, 6 White Sox players have appeared in the American or National League Championship Series as members of other teams. Can you name them? Well, Greg Lazinski with the Phillies in 76, 77, 78, and 80. Carlton Fisk with the Red Sox, 75. Dick Tidrow with the Yankees, 76, 77, and 78. Let's watch Dempsey right now, hitting .231 on the year against Lamar Hoyt, and that's the first ball the Orioles have hit out of the infield against Hoyt so far. And you got a feeling that Hoyt did not appreciate the call from the plate umpire Jim McKean. Ball 1 to Dempsey. The other members of the White Sox who played in other championship series, Emilio Rodriguez, who wore a Tiger uniform in '72, a Yankee uniform in '80 and '81. Tom Paciorek was with the Dodgers in '74, and Jerry Koosman with the Mets.
I know that Oriole folks are hoping that they're going to get a little punch from the bottom of this lineup. When you look at Dower, Cruz, and Dempsey, they have not had good years with the bat. And to get some punch out of it, like the single by Cruz, is a big plus for them. And the same holds true for the White Sox ball club with Long, Fletcher, and Cruz. They have not had that good a year.
Well, Dempsey on the year hit .231, and against the White Sox in 9 games, he hit .261, including a double and a home run. Here's the breaking ball from Hoyt. He throws a lot of different pitches and has the ability to throw the ball hard on occasions. The 2-1 offering to Dempsey. No. The thing that has impressed me about Hoyt is when you find him in various situations, a double play situation, let's say, like right now, he has the ability to throw the ground ball and get it. If he needs a strikeout, he seems to be able to get that. He deserves everything that's happened to him this year. Just a whale of a pitcher. 24 and 10 on the year, and he is, well, if he's not the Cy Young Award winner, I'll tell you what, they better not ever vote again.
He's the first American League pitcher to win 20 games in 3 years. They haven't had a 20-game runner. McGregor, Hoyt won 19 last year. But he's a lot like McGregor. He does not forget what pitches he throws to certain hitters. And you're right, he thinks right along with the hitter.
2-2 offering to Dempsey, 1 out. There goes the runner. Out of play down the right field side. Well, I'll tell you, that was kind of interesting. Dempsey did not just go flailing away to rip that ball out of the ballpark. He just tried to make good contact, hoping he could find a hole, particularly to the right field side. It's a well-known fact that it's much more difficult to turn a double play with a ground ball hit off the first base side than it is off the third base side.
What you tell yourself if you got the hit and run on and you're the hitter is just hit the ball hard somewhere. If the ball's outside, well, that's even better.
Left fielder moving on it is Ron Kittle, and he'll be there to take it without any trouble. 2 down in the bottom of the third, 1-0 Chicago. And here now, leadoff hitter Al Bumbry. Grounded to the second baseman in his only trip to the plate in the first inning. Well, there's an interesting sign. Chicago even loves the Birds. Well, Brooks and I'll be with you again tomorrow night. Now, as we look out of our booth here in Memorial Stadium, it does look rather touchy up over the left field pavilion. Strike to Bumbry.
7th time that the Orioles have been in divisional playoff, postseason play, going back to 1969. Orioles have had some good days on this day, Chuck. October the 5th, 1966, we won the first World Series game and beating the Dodgers.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is an anniversary. In 1921, on this date, the first time in the history of the World Series a game was broadcast.
How about that? You didn't do it, did you?
No, fortunately, I wasn't around then. Now the 1-1 offering coming to Bumbry.
1969, October the 5th. That's the first time they ever had a playoff, and the Orioles won that ball game 1-0, 11 innings against the Minnesota Twins. What a game.
I hate to say it, Brooks, but it started to rain. Yep. 1 ball, 1 strike to Bumbry. 2-1 now.
See everyone going for their umbrellas, raincoats.
Yep. We had a very light sprinkle about, maybe an hour and a half before game time this afternoon. Hit it pretty good. The wind will knock it down. Chasing it, center fielder Rudy Law. point. He's there.
That's the one thing he can do. He can chase the balls in center field as good as anyone.
At the end of 3 innings, Chicago 1, Baltimore nothing. Well, we're ready now for the Chicago half of the 4th inning. Scott McGregor will be facing Ron Kittle, Harold Baines, and Vance Law. And this tells you what is going on at the stadium right now. It's a very light rain. As a matter of fact, hasn't yet begun to discolor the skin portion of the infield. White Sox, as I mentioned, really a turnaround team. They won 99 ball games, but on May the 26th of this year, the Chicago Ball Club had a record of 16 wins and 24 losses in 6th place. Now that is a turnaround. Ron Kittle and McGregor struck him out on the 2nd. Yeah, Brooks?
I was going to say, even later than that, they were 40 and 37, Chuck.
There you go.
In September this year, they went 22 and 6. So they've been playing as well as anyone in the game of baseball. In fact, they won more games than anybody in the major league.
Didn't they? 99 victories. I'll tell you, anybody that can win 99 games has played a lot of outstanding baseball. This will be a foul ball. McGregor going to make sure it stays there.
They went on a 10-day road trip at the end of the year, and they needed 9 out of 10 for 100. They won 8 out of 10 for 99.
Now, McGregor struck Kittle out in the 2nd inning. Those of you who are not with us in the 3rd inning when the White Sox went in front of the Orioles 1-0, McGregor got the first 2 batters. Fletcher in a line drive to short, Cruz on a ground out to 3rd, and then Rudy Law singled into center field. Carlton Fisk hit the first pitch for another base hit to center field. Law stopped at 3rd. Then Pachorik hit a scorching line drive that took a skidding hop off the glove and through the legs of the 3rd baseman, Todd Cruz, into shallow left field, and that allowed Rudy Law to score. Now the 1-2 offering to Ron Kittle. 2-2.
Not a bad pitch when you get 2 strikes on Ron Kittle. He has a tendency to swing the ball out of the strike zone. McGregor went up. That's right down the middle.
Got him looking this time. Hey, remember, everyone, coming up this inning, it's Coke break time, and Coke is it. Now the batter is Harold Baines. Baines popped up to second baseman Dower in the 2nd inning.
Harold Baines from St. Michael's, Maryland.
That's right.
Remember,
a ball, a strike.
A few years ago, going out to Chicago with his dad on the plane, his opening day when his rookie year. He's had a fine career, and he's getting better and better.
We're going to pause right now, 5 seconds for station identification on the Orioles 83 Baseball Network.
This is WMAR-TV, Maryland's leader in sports broadcasting.
Here's Dower. Tough play. Got him. That's one of the more difficult plays, as you know, going away from the target to make the play and get enough on the throw to get a good runner like Harold Baines.
Just about the only way you're going to be able to make that play, because if Dower catches the ball, if he plants his feet and throws, he will not get Baines. This ball's hit off the end of the bat. You'll see him up, throw, got him. Outstanding play by Rich Dower.
2 down, and now Vance Law, who flied to the right fielder in the 2nd inning. Chicago 1-0 over the Orioles here in the top of the 4th. Well, he had him kind of overstriding, so it was an off-speed breaking ball, apparently. What a play from Cal Ripken for the final out. And the score, Chicago 1, the Orioles nothing, and now fans, let's take a Coke break.
After the 4th inning, they're behind 1-0. They've had 1 base hit. Todd Cruz single to center field. Dan Ford leading off the bottom of the 4th.
Well, we're ready to go. It'll be Dan Ford, who struck out against Lamar Hoyt back in the first inning. 1 run, 4 hits Chicago, no runs, and 1 hit Baltimore. And here we go. Bottom of the 4th. A 42-minute delay.
Hoyt, the first 2 pitches is slider to a strike outside. Then you saw Fisk move inside, and that's what he likes to do. He likes to run the fastball inside on the right-hand hitters. He is not afraid to go in there. Ahead of Ford, 2 strikes, no balls.
Second baseman Cruz and the Orioles. 1 down here in the 4th inning, and now Cal Ripken went to a full count of the opening inning before grounding out to third baseman Vance Law.
Chuck, I've had this funny feeling all week, and I think that whoever wins this ball game is going to win 3 in a row. I've had that feeling for a long time. I don't know why, but that's just the way that I felt.
You get that kind of a feeling every now and then, and in other words, what you're saying is that the season, this could be the pivotal game of the season right now for both the White Sox and the Orioles. This game might be the one that'll tell the story. Well, I'll tell you one thing about Mr. Ripken. He had himself a pretty good cut. Saw a picture of his dad down the third base side. The Ripken family is one of the most outstanding baseball families it's ever been my pleasure to know. 2 strikes to Cal.
Has a younger brother, Billy Ripken, who's in this organization.
Uncles who played. Father was a heck of an athlete, good catcher, an outstanding soccer player. And they're just a wonderful family. And the 2 strikes, hold on. And when the Orioles finally clinched out of Milwaukee for the first time, Cal Ripken Sr. took a can of beer and went down to his son and dumped it on him.
He had been waiting for that all year.
Now the 2-strike pitch to Cal. And Hoyt with a heck of a pitch to strike him out. After that happened, somebody talked to father, Cal Ripken Sr., and said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I guess the father in me finally came out." And Rabbit Ray Miller was sitting next to him and jumped up and screamed, "I can't believe it." After 2 years, he finally admits that that kid's his son. Finally admitted he was the father. When they put that uniform on, they are professional ball players. 2 down, and now Eddie Murray, who grounded to the second baseman. The Orioles have had 2 balls out of the infield, rather 3. Dempsey's fly ball to left, Bumbry's fly ball to center, and Todd Cruz's single to center field.
Eddie Murray has a lifetime 301 against the Chicago White Sox.
A rain delay of 42 minutes. Foul ball. Lamar Hoyt, referred to very fondly by his teammates as the incredible Balt.
The one thing Hoyt and the one thing McGregor are very good at is the fact they will keep you in the ball game, whether they're having good days or bad days. They're going to give you 6 or 7 outstanding innings most of the time.
The 24-10 season enjoyed by Lamar Hoyt is hardly a fluke. He won 19 and lost 15 last year. Time.
And he did not get a vote for a Cy Young Award last year.
Not one. I don't know what that pitch is, but every now and then Hoyt will show it to you. Some kind of a change-up, but Well, this is something all of you who are baseball fans have watched all your life, that cat and mouse game.
Well, there's a little indecision right there which way Hoyt wanted to, or Fisk wanted Hoyt to pitch, whether it be in or out, but he's going outside with him.
This will be a foul ball and out of the reach of anyone but a spectator, maybe. And even the spectator couldn't get it. One of the things a hitter has to do is try to establish the tempo. He wants the pitcher to throw when he's ready. He doesn't want to have to swing when the pitcher is ready. That's Pachorik, and Hoyt covering for the final out. End of 4. White Sox 1, the Orioles nothing.
Oriole fans have won more than $19,000 this year during the Big Mac Attack contest. And for the playoffs, we've dug way down deep all through the entries and have given everyone who entered one more chance to win.
Well, we had some really big winners. Brooks, a $1,400 winner, a $1,300 winner. A couple of them won $1,000. Somebody won at every Oriole telecast. And at the end of today's game, David Gibbons of Club Road in Baltimore from McDonald's in Bel Air will win $100 a run if the Birds win, $50 a run if they lose. And so if you know David Gibbons, give him a call and tell him to stay tuned and root for the Orioles.
Big Mac Attack is brought to you by your neighborhood McDonald's.
Well, I hope Dave can get the job done, but if you don't hit the ball out of the infield anymore a couple of times, you're going to find it awfully hard to score. Here's Scott Fletcher, a line drive on McGregor's first pitch in the third inning, right into the glove of the shortstop, Cal Ripken.
Scott Fletcher came to the White Sox from the Cubs in January with Dick Tidrow. Steve Trout went to the Chicago Cubs in that deal. For a little guy, he's got some power.
Oh, what a play from Todd Cruz. Is the throw okay? Well, no, he made it okay.
Well, it was a fantastic play. Cruz playing in, even with the bag to take the bunt away from him. Just a reflex action. You'll see him dive to his right, come up with the ball. The throw is in the dirt. Murray comes up with it with a fine play at first base. And Cruz looking at his hand like there was some dirt on the ball when he threw it. There's a shot of it. Either do or you don't.
Batter now is Julio Cruz, who grounded to third baseman Todd Cruz in the third inning. Strike one. Well, in the National League, the Dodgers and the Phillies. And in the American League, the White Sox and the Orioles. Look out, Todd. Played the half out perfectly. Throws out Cruz.
Well, both the game last night and today, it's almost been pitch and catch.
Yep, that's right. 1-0, the Phillies winners over the Dodgers last night. 1-0, the White Sox over the Orioles with 2 out on the top of the 5th inning. And here's the replay of Todd Cruz. When you have a left-handed pitcher who doesn't throw that hard, as McGregor is not a power pitcher, usually your third baseman will have a busy afternoon or evening.
I can vouch for that when McNally and Cuellar pitched.
You
but
did.
There were some rumors at one time that with Todd not hitting, that Dower would be the third baseman and maybe gets Sakata at second base. But I think that Altobelli feels like this is his best defensive lineup right here, with Todd Cruz at third base, Dower at second base.
Well, Rudy Law went out unassisted to Murray in the first inning and then drilled a base hit through the middle of center field in the third. And he has scored the only run on the board at the moment. And McGregor with a 1-1 pitch. Another base hit. 2 out, single to right, and Rudy Law is 2 for 3.
Now, this might work in the Orioles' favor, too, with the rain. It might deter Law from going or trying to steal second base. The last time he singled, a fifth single after him, and then Pachorik knocked in the go-ahead run.
Well, in 10 games against the Orioles in the regular season, as Brooks pointed out, Rudy Law hit .056. Well, this afternoon, he's 2 for 3 with 2 out. Here's Carlton Fisk. He picked on McGregor's first offering in the third and singled. Ball one.
Hasn't been all peaches and cream this year for Carlton Fisk. LaRussa and Fisk had a little falling out earlier in the year.
How about Paciorek?
Well, that's right.
LaRussa.
Paciorek wanted to be traded. Fisk, LaRussa thought he was a little stubborn, thought he called the games backwards. So they worked out their problems and went on to win the American League West. And LaRussa was under fire, too. There was rumors at the All-Star break that he was going to be fired. So, my, what winning does for you.
Tough play. Cruz won. They get the fourth, and that's all they needed. At the end of 4.5 innings, the score is Chicago 1, Baltimore 0. They tell me they don't want it done. Well, into the Oriole half of the 5th inning, and it's Equitable Bank's home run sweepstakes inning. If an Oriole hits a home run during this inning, some lucky fan will win $1,500. John Lowenstein batting for Carolee Pronolis of Baltimore with $1,500 available in a ball to Lowenstein. Should the Orioles come up with a grand slam home run in this inning, the winner would receive $1 million. Strike to Lowenstein, 1-1. The contestants have been selected at random from users of Equitable's 24-hour response machines or response banking phones, or from postcards sent to Equitable Bank Home Run Sweepstakes. Watching the right fielder, and Baines is where he has to be to make the play. Well, Carolee Pronolis of Baltimore, no home run, but you'll receive a couple of tickets to a future Orioles game, courtesy of the Orioles and Equitable Bank. Batter number 2 is Ken Singleton. And Singleton is 0 for 1 this afternoon, and he'll be batting for Dana S. O'Neill of Columbia, Maryland, with $1,500 available should he hit a home run. 1-0 Chicago. Yes.
Singleton grounded to first base the first time up. Hoyt working on, won 13 in a row to finish out the season.
Center fielder moving, can't get there. Oh, what a hop, and Singleton gets the extra base. And he'll be content with a double. Well, no home run, Dana S. O'Neill of Columbia, Maryland, but you get 2 free tickets to a future Orioles game, courtesy of the Orioles and Equitable Bank. And the batter stepping in now will be Rich Dower to bat for Charles S. Webster of Port Washington, Maryland.
Here's a line drive, right center field by Singleton. Rudy Law over to cut the ball off, and you'll see it take a high hop over his head. Baines on his way to the right field fence to pick up the ball, and Singleton has a double. 1 away, and Rich Dower the hitter.
Took a heck of a play by third baseman Vance Law to get Dower the first time up. Oh, what a pitch from Mr. Hoyt.
Well, that just absolutely would overmatch anyone. It looked like a fastball riding in on Dower inside part of the plate. And this is where the Orioles need some help. They need the bottom 3 in this lineup to produce.
Well, until a moment ago, the last half of the batting order had watching Hoyt. Checks the runner and now throws, and Dower will be the second out of the inning. No home run, Charles Webster of Fort Washington. A couple of tickets to a future Orioles game, courtesy of the Orioles and Equitable Bank. And the batter now, Todd Cruz, and he'll be batting for Thomas P. Hardy of Baltimore.
Cruz single to center his first time at bat.
All ready to go. Watching Cruz. He singled to center field in the third inning. That represented the only hit, and it was provided by the bottom third of the order through the first 4 innings, and then Singleton with a double. Strike 1 to Cruz, batting for Thomas P. Hardy of Baltimore. Singleton represents the tie run at second base, and the footing is not too good. Take a pretty good base hit to get him home. Out shortstop. Fletcher, throw to first, and that's it. No home run. Thomas B. Hardy, 2 free tickets to a future Oriole game, courtesy of the Orioles and Equitable Bank. No home run hit in the inning, and that means the next Equitable Bank home run sweepstakes inning will be worth $1,600. And at the end of 5, it continues. Chicago 1, Baltimore nothing. The White Sox with a 1-0 lead over the Orioles through the first 5, and we're going to pause 5 seconds for station identification on the Orioles 83 Baseball Network.
This is WMAR-TV, Maryland's leader in sports broadcasting.
Well, the White Sox leadoff hitter in the 6th inning against McGregor is going to be Tom Paciorek. His bat has knocked in the only run on the big scoreboard so far this afternoon. Ball 1. Paciorek grounded to third in the opening inning and then had a line drive. Caromed off the glove of third baseman Cruz and rolled through to left field to produce the only run in the 3rd inning. 2-0 now.
Paciorek's only other appearance in postseason play was back in 1974. He had a pinch hit single when he played for the Los Angeles Dodgers. But he ought to be an inspiration to a lot of guys who might not think they're going to make it. Here's a player who bounced around from several teams. Finally was given his release, and after he signed with the Seattle Ball Club, he's had his best years here in Chicago. Traded several times.
Now for the 2nd time this afternoon, Paciorek has got a 3-1 pitch to swing at against McGregor. The last time on a 3-1, he drilled it through the legs of Cruz. Ball 4. Well, that's the first walk in the ball game. And to put people on in front of Greg Luzinski can be rather dangerous.
Now we're going to have a little action in the Oriole bullpen. Sammy Stewart, who's been on the top of his game the last month, warming up. And you're right, Chuck. You don't want to put players on the base. And you got the heart of the lineup, Luzinski, Kittle, coming to the plate.
Out of play.
Luzinski, fly ball down the right field line, dropped in for a double the first time up, flied to left field the second time up. Tony La Russa, the manager for the White Sox.
Out of play again. Well, the Orioles have another uphill battle. They've got to come from behind again. They did that in smashing style this year. They came from behind 36 times.
Been a lot of talk about the White Sox winning ugly. Someone asked Eddie Murray if he could think of a nickname that might fit the Orioles, and he said dramatic.
Dramatic is right, yeah. Well,
so they win dramatically.
36 come from behind victories. 23 of those in the 7th inning or later. And 8 times this year the Orioles have won a game in their last at-bat. McGregor with a 2-2 to Luzinski.
That is the ball that Murray should have come up with, Chuck. It was not that easy, mainly because he was holding Paciorek on. He broke off the bag going toward second base, reached down, the ball went right under his glove into right field. Paciorek going to third, and that's a base hit, the second one for Luzinski.
They charge Eddie Murray with an error, we just heard.
That is an error for Eddie Murray.
And the White Sox, who have shown the only semblance of offense in this game this afternoon, are doing it again. Runners at first and third and nobody out, and here is Ron Kittle, and McGregor has struck him out twice this afternoon. Well, the runner heading home, can they get 2? 1, 2.
That's the only way to play it in that situation. The Orioles played back, willing to give up another run, get them out of the big inning. Kittle hits into a double play, 6-4-3. And now Harold Baines is the hitter.
Harold is over 2 this afternoon, thanks to the ability of Rich Dower, who got him on a ground ball way to the right side of Dower in the 4th inning. And Rich, going away from first base, made kind of like a football player making a jump pass. Out of play.
White Sox Ball Club was 12th in hitting this year in the American League. And I think what they do, they're a lot like the Orioles. They're pretty good situation hitters. They are able to take advantage of certain situations and do the job.
Harold, you can see, is just a little bit disappointed with himself. Perhaps somewhat over-anxious. That ball appeared to be up and out of the strike zone. Popped him up, Eddie Murray. That's the final out, but now at the end of 5 1/2 in game 1, it's the White Sox 2 and the Orioles nothing. You're looking at the man of the hour insofar as Chicago is concerned. Their brilliant right-hander, Lamar Hoyt. In the regular season, he won 24, lost 10. As a lock as the Cy Young Award winner this year, and those of you watching the telecast this afternoon see how he is able to get himself in that position. He's just one whale of a pitcher. He hasn't walked a batter through the first 5. He struck out 2. There have only been 1, 2, 3, 4 balls hit out of the infield all afternoon against Hoyt. Two nothing the White Sox as Dempsey takes a strike here in the 6th inning. You give Hoyt a 2-0 lead going into the late innings, and I'll tell you, you are in serious difficulty. Boy, Dempsey really waited. That's a good piece of hitting on the part of Rick Dempsey. And we'll bring up Al Bumbry, who has grounded to second and fly to center. News Scope is next step in television news reporting, helping all of you understand how the day's events affect you. News Scope brings information to life weekday afternoons at 5 on Channel 2. It won't make it today at 5. Here's Bumbry.
Good spot for Al Bumbry right here. Pashoric holding a runner on. Cruz has to play toward second base just in case they have a double play possibility. A big hole between first and second. And they're playing Bumbry around to hit the other way anyway. Even the outfield swung around. Anything down the right field line could run forever.
And they've got the chance. There's one, and whoa! Dempsey is hit on the throw, and he could be hurt.
Got him in the hand. I guess he's all right.
I hope he got the hands up. If he didn't, he's serious. He is hurt, but fortunately got his hands up in front of the throw.
That is dangerous. You see Fletcher coming across there. He drops down and throws, and that's for one reason. That's to tell that runner to get down. You'll see Dempsey on his way. Tailor-made double play. Cruz up with it to Fletcher, and he drops down. You'll see Dempsey.
Looked like it came off the wrist and hit the helmet. Now La Russa is coming out to talk to the umpire at second base.
Well, La Russa's arguing that, I don't know what he's arguing, but anyway, the runner's got to get down sooner. I mean, the shortstop's coming around, and that's the reason they drop down and throw, because they want that runner to get down.
Well, the runner doesn't have to get down.
He doesn't have to get down. That's right. That's exactly right.
He wants to take one in the teeth. It's his business.
That's exactly right. And
the shortstop's got to learn to get out of the way and throw over it.
Dempsey slid a little late.
Well, I think Dempsey knew the minute the ball was hit that this is a pretty good double play ball. Not that he would stick his face in front of a throw, don't misunderstand me. But he'd do anything he could to break up the double play. And here he is coming in again. Now watch. He just starts to go down and gets hit right on the head, it looked like, right on the batting helmet.
Sure did.
And now the batter is Dan Ford, who has struck out and grounded to second. One out. That breeze is still blowing. rather solidly toward right field. Look out, Brooks. Not quite. It won't get here, huh?
Almost. I was ready for it. I had it all away.
Uh-huh. If I hadn't said look out, you'd still be under the table.
I tell you what Dempsey did.
Yeah,
Dempsey put his hand up right above his head, and that's why it looked like it hit him on the helmet, but it really hit him on the hand.
Hit him on the
He
hand.
put his
Thank
hand
you.
up in front of his face to protect himself. That's what you call taking one for the team.
Boy, I'll say it was. Now the one strike offering to Ford.
Ford played for the California Angels in the 1979 playoff. Hit a home run in the first 2 games against the Orioles. One away, Bunbury at first. White Sox lead 2-0. Bottom half of the 6th inning.
Fair or foul ball? Foul ball. A ball and 2 strikes. Runner at first base, Al Bunbury. Dan Ford with a count of 1-2. Kind of an off track. The skin of the infield took a heck of a downpour before the Orioles batted in the bottom of the 4th. They get 1, 2. At the end of 6 innings of play, it continues. The White Sox 2, Baltimore nothing. Well, let's watch the White Sox turn the double play that ends the inning. And an excellent effort from Chicago.
Well, it sure was. Julio Cruz at second base knew that he was going to get taken out of that ball, out of that play, and he stood there, took what was coming to him, and turned a double play. You'll see Ford right on him, up-pins him, but he makes it.
Well, tonight on News Scene 2, Andy Barth and Joan Gartland report on how the fans are enjoying today's opening game of the playoffs. We invite you to watch Teamwork on News Scene 2 right after the game.
Leadoff hitter for the White Sox, top of the 7th. Vance Law came up through the Pittsburgh organization, came over in a trade for Ross Baumgarten. And Law was a shortstop until they converted him to third base. Had some problems there. Second half of the year, just an outstanding job defensively, and I think that's what they were worried about more than anything else, was the defense. Chicago has been a ball club who had trouble catching it.
Well, in the pitching matchup this afternoon, McGregor and Lamar Hoyt through 6 innings of play, and McGregor appears to be tiring now. He's been getting behind to quite a few hitters, 3 balls and no strikes. He has thrown 77 pitches coming into this afternoon's 7th inning, and there's add 4 more. On 4 pitches, he has walked Vance Law. That's his 2nd walk. And here is the wife of Vance Law that you saw just draw the walk a moment ago, Sharon Law. And you're looking now at Scott Fletcher as he takes a look down the third base side. The Chicago White Sox right-hander through 6 innings, Lamar Hoyt, has thrown 67 pitches.
This is the part of the lineup that LaRusso likes to make things happen, whether it be bunt, the balk
That's
right
a balk, and the Orioles have committed another mistake.
Well, they're getting their signs mixed up, Chuck. We saw a play early in the ball game where Murray went to first base behind Fisk, and McGregor went home on it when he was supposed to come to first base. And that's another miscue right there where Murray, instead of coming in and going back to the base, he was breaking in to cover the bunt. And McGregor went to first. And now it's up to Fletcher to get him the third to drive him in.
Well, it's tough enough to beat the White Sox without beating yourself. And now here is Scott Fletcher. There's your bunt. No play at third. The sac bunt sends Vance Law to third. Stewart is throwing in the bullpen, and the batter now will be Julio Cruz, who was twice grounded to third. Well, this is not one of the Orioles' more alert efforts this afternoon. Twice this afternoon, they seem to have missed on pickoff plays at first base.
Julio Cruz.
Infield is up. The Orioles are going to try to keep another run from scoring. And here is Julio Cruz.
Bounced to the third baseman twice today.
Ball one. Looks to be out of play, and it is. A ball and a strike.
Up till June the 15th this year, Chuck, the man hitting right here, Julio Cruz, was playing second base for Seattle, and the player playing third base for the Orioles was playing shortstop for Seattle. That was the double play combination for the Mariners. And now they're opposing one another in the playoffs.
Well, Dempsey and McGregor gambled that maybe something was alive, and they pitched out, hoping maybe it could have been a squeeze play, and Vance Law was on his way. And they felt they might be able to risk that ball, too. This also appears to be out of play, and is. So McGregor now has battled the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes.
This would be a spot for a strikeout, and I'm sure that's what McGregor's thinking about right now.
He got him. Pitch, and they still made the play. Can you believe that?
Well, it was terrific. The ball was a
What a play Dempsey made. Watch Dempsey.
He did. Dempsey goes back. He gets a good rebound right off the wall. There goes Law on his way home. Dempsey after the ball. He flags. The ball rebounds to him, and he makes a perfect throw back to McGregor covering home plate. The Orioles got a break right there. You'll see Law trying to come in. McGregor's there to put it on him.
What a great throw Dempsey made from down on his knees in the mud in foul territory. And the count is still 3-2 to Julio Cruz. How many times do you wild pitch and pick the guy off?
We got a real break when the ball came right back towards Dempsey.
The additional seats necessary in the playoffs helped the Orioles considerably. And a ball 4. So Cruz has been issued the third walk given up by McGregor this afternoon, and all in the last 2 innings. And pitching coach Ray Miller is on his way. The left-handed bat of Rudy Law is due.
Got Stewart warming in the bullpen for the Orioles.
Well, that's really an amazing thing to see that kind of a pitch that, if, you know, the run scores. That's definitely a wild pitch. It hit in the dirt, and Dempsey didn't have a chance of blocking it. Dempsey never quit on the ball, never gave up, just made a whale of a play getting back there, made the carom, and a perfect throw to McGregor at the plate. Ray Miller back to the dugout. Sam Stewart ready in the Oriole bullpen, but the left-handed bat of Rudy Law is due, and he is 2 for 3 this afternoon.
This is a dead steal situation, and I'm sure that's what Miller or Ray went out to remind Scotty. Well, try to hold him as close as you can. Rudy Law, the hitter, cruised at first base, and I think you'll see him going, even though the ground might be a little wet.
Leading 2-0, it seems to me to be a pretty good play. Time.
If he makes it, you got a Law, Rudy Law to knock him in. If he doesn't make it, well, you got the leadoff man leading off next inning. So
there you go.
It's worth a try. And a lot depends just how close McGregor can hold him to first base.
A walk, a sacrifice. And a balk.
Rudy Law came from the Los Angeles Dodgers, March of '82, in a deal for 2 minor leaguers. And he has turned out to be a bonus. Base hit.
Gapper in right center field, and Law can fly on his way to third. They're going to stop him at third into second. A bad throw. And here's McGregor right where he needed to be to back it up.
That's going to be all for McGregor. Altobelli on his way to the mound to make the change.
Rudy Law, who hit 0-56 against the Orioles in regular season play, is 3 for 4 this afternoon. And Altobelli is on his way to talk to Scott McGregor. And against a team that shows you solid right-handed power, this is not McGregor's afternoon. And Altobelli will go to the bullpen for the right-hander. And McGregor will get a warm ovation from the good Oriole fans who have shown this year the ability of champions. Stick with the ball club, whether they're going good or whether they're going bad.
I will say that this Chicago...
Right now, while the new pitcher makes his way to the mound, we're going to pause for these words. Hander Sam Stewart in relief of Scott McGregor, who went the first 6 2/3. Has allowed 6 hits, walked 3, struck out 2, commits a balk, charged with 2 Chicago runs. And Stewart from the bullpen, who are on the regular season, 9 wins, 4 losses, 7 saves, and some very good numbers against the Chicago White Sox. He made 6 appearances, all in relief. He won 2 ball games, pitched 19 innings to an earned run. I think that 19 innings to an earned run of 2.84. 2.84 earned run for Sam Stewart.
Stewart has been on the top of his game the last month and a half. He has just been overpowering in the ball games he's been in, and he credits it to the fact that he has come off with a little off-speed breaking pitch over the top curveball to give him some difference of speed. So he has been throwing the ball extremely well. And the thing I'd like to say about the White Sox, Chuck, they have been awesome against left-hand pitching this year. They've won over 50 games against left-handers, lost 19 games. So it's awful tough to beat anyone when you're not scoring runs, and the Orioles have yet to get on the board.
Runner at second base is Rudy Law, and the runner at third base, Julio Cruz. There are 2 out. On the batter now, Carlton Fisk. Ball 1.
Fisk, one of the players who hit on this White Sox club who's hit extremely well against the Orioles this year. 380. And he's chipped in with a single a day.
Tell you what, Sam Stewart coasted that up there with a pretty good amount of velocity. This is Fisk's family on the screen right now as youngsters. Fisk is a much better hitter with men on base than at any other time. Sam's not trying to finesse him, Brooks. He's coming right after him.
He just overmatched him with the last 2 pitches. And I think that's a good idea. I don't think I'd throw him anything off speed. Just go right after him. Hard as you can. Believe me, he's pumped up.
Out of play. And he is doing as you suggested, Brooks, just coming right after. One of the best catchers in the American League these days. For that matter, I guess in almost any league, Carlton Fisk.
Well, we mentioned before that he is the most valuable player on the Chicago White Sox ball club. Tremendous second half.
Dempsey, they can't find it now. He does. Boy, you talk about a defensive catcher, a fellow who is quick as a cat and determined. The beauty of the play that he made in the 7th inning to recover what could have been a wild pitch was the fact that he never once quit on the ball. The minute it got by him, he took off as hard as he could go, made a heck of a slide to recover the ball, and then a dandy play throwing to Scott McGregor at the plate.
Well, that was an excellent block, mainly because it was a breaking ball. And when you throw a breaking ball, the catcher just does not know where it's going to end up. But he smothered it, stayed with it, held the runners at second and third. 2 away. 2-2 on Fisk. And this is the ball game right now for the Orioles, getting out of this jam right now. 2 runs down already.
That's the way you get out of it. Bullpen work from Sam Stewart at the end of 6 1/2. The Chicago White Sox 2, the Baltimore Orioles nothing. It's grounded to third and struck out, and Hoyt starts him with a strike here in the 7th inning. Brooks, the more I watch Lamar Hoyt, the more I am absolutely convinced that he's as good as anybody I've seen in the American League in a few years.
Well, I think so too, Chuck. I mean, he's made some pitches to Ripken the first 2 times up that
Boy.
they would have overmatched anyone in the game. And he does not seem to be slowing down. He has just as much velocity right now as when he started the ball game.
One down.
And the thing that makes Hoyt so difficult to hit is the fact that he's never in one spot. I mean, if you hit off of McGregor, most of the time you can look from the ball outer half of the plate and maybe down. But when you hit off of Hoyt, he's going to throw up and in. He's going to throw low and away. He's going to go throw down the middle. Just a very difficult pitcher to hit off of.
Well, here now Eddie Murray, who has twice grounded out, once to the second baseman, once to the first baseman. "16 outs." Watching right fielder moving on the play is Harold Baines. Boy, that one hung up there for a little while, didn't it?
That's right. It looked like Harold caught it right on his fist almost. Not on his fist, but down in the pocket of his, the heel of his glove. That's out number 2. Murray had a good swing at a fastball going away from him and skied it to Baines in right field.
Now John Lowenstein, who has gone out unassisted to the first baseman and fly to right field. "20 outs now recorded by Lamar Hoyt. 12 of them have come on ground balls. And a breaking ball strike to Lowenstein. One ball, 1 strike. Memorial Stadium understandably a little quiet as that 2-0 Chicago lead gets bigger and bigger here in the bottom of the 7th inning. 2 balls to strike to Lowenstein. Two and two.
White Sox won their division this year by the largest margin since the teams were split in division back in 1969. And it's the fact that, well known, the Orioles did not play too well the last week and a half or so. Well, the White Sox struggled too. It was a little tough for them to get up for the ball games. And talking to Lamar, it's strike 3.
That's it. And at the end of 7 complete in game 1, it's the White Sox 2, the Orioles 0. Well, we're ready now for the Chicago half of the 8th inning. Sam Stewart will be facing left fielder Tom Paciorek to lead off in this top of the 8th. And if you haven't been in downtown Baltimore for a little while, take a look at this beautiful city that a lot of people refer to as Charm City. That some of the heavy industry that surrounds our area and some of the hard-working people who make the city the wonderful place that it is. Here is Paciorek. Base hit. And Paciorek is 2 for 3 this afternoon with a run scored and a run batted in. So as Brooks has mentioned, he continues to be somewhat of a nemesis.
He is not going to hurt you with the long ball, but he has sure thrown some base hits in against the Orioles this season.
And now the batter is Greg Luzinski. He had a windblown pop-up fall in for a double in the 2nd inning, fly to left, then reached on an error in the 6th inning.
Luzinski, 95 RBIs this year. That was 3rd to Kittle, who had 100, Baines, who had 99. There he goes.
Look out, Brooks.
He got it. It's in the booth. No, not quite.
Some gentleman stepped in front of Brooks and made the catch. You were ready, weren't you?
Boy,
Can I give you some friendly advice? I'd get rid of those 2 cups out there in front of me if I were you.
I couldn't get my glove off my belt buckle here, though, in time, you know. That's where I carry my glove, right here in my belt buckle.
Didn't we, though? This is out of play to the right field corner. Time right now. Ray Miller starts out of the Oriole dugout looking back toward manager Joe Aldebelli and continues on his way. Obviously, Stewart and Dempsey are doing something that needs the attention of pitching coach Ray Miller.
Hey, he got Stoddard and Tippy Martinez warming up in the bullpen.
There's Bigfoot and his left-handed counterpart, Tippy Martinez. Well, I'll tell you what. Tippy Martinez had to get little consideration for the most valuable player on the Orioles this year.
Yes, I would say so. Cannot win. You just can't win in this league now unless you have a guy who can come in there day in, day out, late innings, slam the door in your face, and that's what the Orioles had in Tippy Martinez. Got to have a superior reliever. Short man. 2 strikes, 1 ball, none away. Paciorek at first base. Luzinski the hitter.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
And that's the spot. If you can get him to swing at it above the belt and hard. Overhand curveball. The umpire called it for inside. 3-2, none away. I got to run them right now. They ran them earlier.
Well, there's the man who indicates whether or not Paciorek is going to go.
Well, I think he'll go just to stay out of the DP.
There he goes. Ball 4.
One of the things that the White Sox have done very successfully this year, even though they've got, before Cruz and Law got in the lineup, they had a very mediocre speed team, speed-wise. They were slow, but they do not hit into many double plays simply because of things like that. They put them in motion. They make them run when they have guys like Luzinski.
Mike Squires is going to bat, and Joe Aldebelli is on his way, which indicates that he may want to go to the bullpen for Tippy Martinez. We got Harold Baines scheduled right behind the left-handed bat of Mike Squires. And they are waiting to see whether or not they have given the sign to the bullpen. So while the new pitcher makes his way to the mound, we're going to pause for these words. Well, out of the bullpen comes the Orioles southpaw Tippy Martinez. Recorded 21 saves in the regular season. Won 9, lost 3. Worked 103 innings to an earned run of 2.35. And the Orioles would not be here this afternoon had it not been for Tippy Martinez.
Any ball club who is going to be in postseason play has to have someone in that bullpen to come out, put out a fire day in, day out. And Tippy Martinez, the last 4 or 5 years, Chuck, has just gotten better every year.
Took him a little while to convince number 4, Mr. Weaver. But once he did Earl ever use it?
Well, he sure did. And I think, you know, Tippy had a spell when he first came here. He got himself into trouble most of the time simply by his control. He has a hard-breaking curveball. It's awful, right over the top. It's very tough to lay off of, but it also bounces sometimes. And I think that was the thing that Earl was afraid of more than anything else, that he would bounce a couple of those curveballs in the situations where you couldn't do that. So that's the reason that Earl did not have the confidence in Tippy when he first came here. But year after year, he has grown in stature, and right now is just right at the top of his game and top of the league as far as a short relief man is concerned. And he throws very hard. Everybody thinks, well, you know, he's got the great curveball, but let me tell you something. His fastball is alive.
Well, the Orioles pleased to announce that fans can receive information and order 1984 season tickets by using a special toll-free number. That means all Oriole fans from the club's entire drawing area can purchase full season as well as the club's new 13 and 27 game plans by using a toll-free number. And the toll-free number is 1-800-424-2733. Mike Squires.
Orioles in a bunt situation. Murray up, Todd Cruz up. And I think you're going to see Cruz trying to get him over in this situation.
Well, the Orioles had the play on as Cruz was charging down the line from third base. Ripken was going as hard as he could toward third base. The runner at second is Pachorik. At first base, Lazinski.
Didn't look like he was bunting to me.
Squires obviously gave no indication of the bunt, but that doesn't mean that it is not in order.
And you got Harold Baines, left-hand hitter, the next batter.
There's your bunt. It's going to be a foul ball.
Squires, outstanding first baseman, as we mentioned before. Also, the last left-handed catcher to play in the major league.
Is that right?
Yeah,
That's right, he was.
Caught a game in 1980.
I forgot that.
Here you'll see a nice shot from the blimp. That's either the blimp or somebody's on the flagpole up here, or the light standard.
Nobody out. Chicago leading 2-0, and in a good spot to help themselves. The Orioles backed into a corner here in this top of the 8th. Nobody out. Runners first and second. Now the 1-1 pitch to Mike Squires.
He's trying to make the third baseman.
Dower and Ripken say, wait a minute. Now, this is about the third time today that we have seen this happen, that the Orioles have had a couple of times they missed obvious signs, and this time, apparently, they wanted to be darn sure that they didn't miss it.
Well, that's very obvious. Ripken gave the sign with his finger, roll him over, start again. Let's don't be confused about it. Squires up there trying to make the third baseman feel the ball in this situation.
Ripken's to second and back to first, but no chance of the double play. They get the force on Lazinski. Pretty good.
Well, that was a pretty good play. It almost turned out to be a very successful play. He caught Ripken going towards third base with a bunt play on. He tried to punch it in that direction. You'll see him. Here goes Ripken. Has to change direction. Goes back. Very alertly throws to second base. The Bulls' own Dower turns him upside down. Murray blocks the ball at first base. So you got first and third, one away. Harold Baines, the hitter.
And he is 0 for 3 this afternoon. A pop to second, ground ball to second, and a foul ball to the first baseman. But what a wonderful season he had for the Chicago Sox. Eddie Murray Comes to the plate. They've got a run down between the plate and third on Pachorik. Got him. Had to wait.
Heads-up baseball here. We cannot afford to give up any more runs. Instead of trying to go for two, Murray gets Pachorik in a rundown. Now, Pachorik's trying to stay in this rundown as long as he can to let the runners advance another base. But Dempsey does a smart thing. He runs the runner back towards third base, tosses to Cruz, who tags him out.
And there are two down now with runners first and second base. And Vance Law. Pachorik, a good close-up, Tom, in the dugout.
He'll have a runner in scoring position. Mike Squires at second base. 2 away.
Well, the White Sox started this inning with runners first and second and nobody out. And that is a swing on the part of Vance Law. Strike one.
That was the overhand curveball that we're talking about. It's awful tough for a hitter to lay off of because it looks like it's going to be a strike. But most of the time, it's out of the strike zone when you swing at it. Law tried to hold up.
Another bender. Another Martinez curveball. And that's the lovely Carol, Tippy's wife. These are trying times, not only for the players, but for their families. The culmination of a great season, you know, is on the line right here. Out of play. Baines, the runner at first. Squires, the runner at second, 2 out. On the top of the 8th, 2-0 of the White Sox. And Lamar Hoyt has just completely muffled the Oriole bats this afternoon with a brilliant pitching performance through the first 7. Another wild pitch. And in that the runners advance. This one will stand as a wild pitch. Have no idea. I think he just tried to throw a fastball and got away from him. That's all.
I've never seen one like that from Tippy Martinez.
I saw that happen with a relief pitcher a couple of times. Come in and the first pitch they throw goes all the way to the backstop. No, I think he was trying to throw a curveball.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it just slipped out.
Well, that puts another couple of runners in scoring position instead of 1. 2 are out there now. Did he check his swing? Yes, he did. Dempsey felt, obviously, that it was not checked.
I'll say one thing for Mr. Dempsey. He's had his work cut out for him today.
Boy, has he ever.
Very lucky he did not get hurt bad going to second base and not sliding in time. Fletcher threw the ball from down under. Went right off his hand and helmet.
And that takes care of Law. And the White Sox and the Orioles have stopped them again at the end of 7 1/2. Chicago 2, Baltimore 0. Well, the Orioles have got to get something started against right-hander Lamar Hoyt. They are down to their final 2 innings. Going to the bottom of the 8th, trailing 2-0. We're going to pause 5 seconds for station identification on the Orioles 83 Baseball Network.
This is WMAR-TV, Maryland's leader in sports broadcasting.
Ken Singleton is due to lead off in the bottom of the 8th. He has one of 3 Oriole hits today. Single by Dempsey, single by Todd Cruz, double by Singleton. Ripken 0 for 3 without a ball out of the infield. Murray 0 for 3. Lowenstein 0 for 3. Ford 0 for 3 without a ball out of the infield. Jammer coming on, the center fielder, and Rudy is there. Law makes the grab right off the fist of Singleton. 1 down. Hoyt has retired 6 in a row, and the batter now will be Rich Dower. Had a bid for a base hit wiped out in the 3rd inning, and a good play by third baseman Vance Law. Bounced to the mound in the 5th inning, and here he is in the 8th against Lamar Hoyt, who, believe me, smells that steak right now. Kind of the pitching theory of Lamar Hoyt, clearly visible in the first 2 pitches. Breaking ball, Dower, strike 1. Came right back with another breaking ball, only moved it outside about 6 or 8 inches. Well, let's watch the center fielder, see if he can get there, and he can. Rudy Law gallops in and makes the grab.
Chuck, there's nothing fancy about what Hoyt's doing. He just has command of his pitches. He'll throw a breaking ball for a strike, then go outside a little further. Then he comes inside with a fastball and jams Dower. So he is moving the ball around, keeping it in a good spot.
Well, he's the best that Chicago has to offer, and it would appear that he is just as good as he needs to be against the Orioles this afternoon. Here's Rudy Law's catch. Kind of unusual. A couple of fly balls hit in this inning. Strike to third baseman Cruz.
I was going to say, he's throwing just as good right now as he did the 1st inning of this ball game.
One and one. Fisk is right there for the final out. At the end of 8 in the first game of the 1983 American League Championship Series. After 8 innings, Chicago 2, Baltimore nothing. Well, we'll go to the 9th inning, and out of the mound, Tippy Martinez. And the new batter against him would be Scott Fletcher, the Chicago shortstop. He'll be followed by Julio Cruz, and then leadoff hitter Rudy Law. Scott McGregor worked the first 6 2/3 innings, and then Sam Stewart in relief for 1/3 of an inning. Tippy Martinez since then. McGregor, 6 hits, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 2 runs. He also committed a balk. And Tippy Martinez to Fletcher. Ball 1.
I would have to say this is a capacity crowd today.
It appears to be, Brooks. And now a 1 ball, 1 strike. And I must say that some of them are beginning to head for the exits, but not too many. We mentioned earlier that the Orioles have 36 times this year come from behind, 23 times from the 7th inning or later, and 8 times in their last at-bat. A ball and 2 strikes to Fletcher.
The Orioles had a little history on their side going into this first contest, being in 5 World Series before, 6 previous playoff games, and they've never lost the first game of any of those postseason matches. perfect matchup. White Sox Orioles.
Say, they are two excellent teams, and the brilliance of Lamar Hoyt is the story of this ball game. He's three-hitting the Orioles and shutting them out through 8 innings.
Well, we mentioned when this ball game started, Chuck, the key was going to be if the Orioles could put a dent in the White Sox starting pitching. And when you shut down the middle of the lineup, Murray, Ripken, Lowenstein, you are not going to win many ball games.
Well, Eddie Murray against the Chicago White Sox in 10 games this year is a .250 hitter, so they have done a very good job against Eddie. Well, Tippy Martinez has given up a walk. Scott McGregor walked 3, Stewart has walked 1, and Tippy now picks up his first walk. Dempsey has asked Ed Murray to come to the mound and join the consultation. Batter is Julio Cruz, who has twice grounded to third and walked. Julio Cruz is a native of Brooklyn. Lived the greater part of his life, however, I think in California. Two 2-0 Chicago. Nobody out. Another runner on over there at first base, and they go to the bunt. Foul. Strike 1.
White Sox have several innings in this ball game, have had the Orioles on the ropes. Chance to break this game wide open. Have not been able to get them home.
Well, they've had their leadoff, their first man on each one of the last innings, beginning in the 6th inning with a walk to Pechoric. The 7th inning, a walk to Vance Law. The 8th inning, a base hit by Pechoric, and in the 9th inning, a walk to Scott Fletcher. And only in the 6th inning were they able to score the run when Pechoric scored run number 2. And that scored on a double play. A ball to strike to Cruz.
Well, I'm betting on something besides a bunt here.
All right.
I think I'm going to say hit and run, Fletcher, take off. Because I'm going to make contact.
Well, Fletcher has stolen successfully 5 times this year without being thrown out. Well, they went to the bunt again. And
maybe I'm one pitch too late. Or one pitch too early.
Murray going in to talk a little bit with Tippy.
Well, if they're going to have something happen, this is the pitch to do it. 2 balls, 1 strike, none away. Got Rudy Law on deck. Russa likes to make things happen with especially the bottom 3 in the lineup.
Three and 1. That's Durwood Merrill, the umpire at first base, who reaffirmed the fact that it was a ball, but he didn't bunt at the pitch. And the 3-1 pitch now to Julio Cruz. Ball 4. Tippy has walked 2 of them. Keep putting them on. Eventually, they're going to score. The Red Sox, or rather the White Sox, have stranded 4 men in the last 2 innings. And now they've got 2 men on with nobody out here in the 9th inning.
Ray Miller on his way to have a talk with Tippy. Stoddard in the bullpen, ready to go if needed.
Well, in the opening game of the 1983 American League Championship Series here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, it is the White Sox who have played almost flawless baseball this afternoon. They've gotten brilliant pitching from their starter, Lamar Hoyt. They have had the ability to turn the double play when given that opportunity. The Orioles really have not had any kind of a threat mounted this afternoon. Matter of fact, a quick look at the scorecard. They've never had an inning when they've had more than one man on base. At the same time.
White Sox 3 games over 500 the first half of the season. 30 games over 500 the second half.
Well, here's Rudy Law, who is 3 for 4, and he bunts it foul for strike 1. Law with a pair of singles and a double. A run scored in the 3rd inning. He opened with 2 out. He singled to center field. Then Fisk singled. He took second. And then when Paciorek lashed a base hit through the legs of 3rd baseman Cruz, he scored the 1st run.
This is a situation where you have to get someone out. The thing you do not want, the bases loaded and no one out. Law trying to make Todd Cruz feel the ball at 3rd base, so you have to go to 1st.
There's Tippy. The throw is 3rd. Got him. La Russa's not going to accept that.
No, he's not. We're going to take a look at it. I'll tell you, it was awful close. Martinez had his mind made up where he was going when he fielded the ball. Todd Cruz broke to 3rd base. Tippy fielded the ball through to 1st base. Fletcher didn't like it either. Head first slide into 3rd. We got this one from the moon. We'll have to take a look at it. There it is. You'll see Tippy fielding the ball on his way to 3rd. I guess they went to 3rd. I wasn't sure. I couldn't quite catch that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Here it is again.
I know one thing. The umpire had a good angle on the play. Whether or not the...
Well, it looked like he's safe.
It looked to me like he was safe.
Yeah, he was safe. He was in there easily.
Runners now 1st and 2nd with 1 out. And here is Carlton Fisk. Here's another look at the replay. I don't know. Maybe he went right by the bag with his right hand. And Evans, the umpire, was right there, but it certainly looked as though he was there in plenty of time. Ball 1 to Fisk. He's had a base hit this afternoon in 4 trips. Those are the runners. 2nd base Cruz, 1st base Law. Now here's Dower. Only play is 1st base, and he's got Carlton Fisk. Into 2nd, Rudy Law. To 3rd base, Cruz. And to the plate, here comes that fellow again, Tom Paciorek, who has 2 hits in 3 trips, a run batted in, and a run scored. He scored the 2nd run, a leadoff walk in the 6th inning, took 3rd base on an error charge to Eddie Murray and a ground ball hit by Lazinski, and then scored while Ron Kittle hit into a double play.
I think you'll see Tippy going right after Paciorek. 1st base open. Got a chance to make him hit what you want him to hit. And if you're walking, well, you only got to face Lazinski.
That's all. With the bases loaded.
The bases loaded.
Yeah. Kind of a, a 5-game playoff is just a sudden death playoff. And every game is so important. And as Brooks has suggested, there is always the possibility that the team winning the 1st game will just go right ahead and sweep. And the 1-0, 1-1. You would have to say that if the White Sox win the opening game, then the odds will shift to their favor considerably, because the last 3 in the 5-game series are scheduled for Comiskey Park in Chicago. And if they can get 1 game in the victory column here in Baltimore, I would think that they've got to be the favorites the rest of the way. 1-2 now.
Well, Well, what it happens then, Chuck, with Boddicker coming back, it puts a lot of pressure on a
Oh, it really does.
kid who's never been in it before. He's pitched some big games at Rochester, but still, it's...
Dinner time at Memorial Stadium. The 1-2 pitch at Todd Cruz. Here's his throw to first. Okay. And Tippy and the Orioles battle their way out of the fire again at the end of 8.5. Chicago 2, Baltimore nothing. Well, here are the Orioles to the bottom of the 9th inning. 2 runs are needed to tie. And the Orioles, Dempsey, the new batter, will not hit. In his stead, it'll be the left-handed Jimmy Dwyer, who on the year hit .286 with 8 home runs and 38 runs batted in. Oriole pinch batters on the season really didn't knock the fences down. They hit for an average of .217.
Jim Dwyer had some big ball games for the Orioles.
And he hit .333 in 7 games against the White Sox. Lamar Hoyt, a 3-hit shutout into the bottom of the 9th. Well, we're beginning to get a little bit of a rainfall at Memorial Stadium. I hope it doesn't turn out like the last one did. That led to a 42-minute rain delay. A ball, a strike now to the pinch batter, Jim Dwyer, batting for Dempsey. The umbrellas are coming up. The rain is getting harder. Could have been a better day for the Orioles right up to this moment. Said this so many times, but it appears that Lamar Hoyt makes as many really good pitches to hitters as any pitcher in this league. That was an excellent pitch to Jim Dwyer. You're not going to do very much with that kind of a pitch. Just hope that it's out of the strike zone. And it was not. Caught it on the fly. Yes, he did. And Dwyer is the first out. 1 down on the bottom of the 9th, and now Bunbury, like all of his teammates, or most all of his teammates, is on an 0-for afternoon against Hoyt. 9 in a row now retired by Lamar Hoyt.
That was Jim Dwyer. He was out in front of that ball, lined it to Squires at first base, and now you'll see Squires and the rain.
And the rain is getting a little heavy, but I think they'll make an effort to play through it. And a strike to Bunbury. The truth of the matter is the Orioles have just never been in the game. Offensively, have never been in the game. And it should be a lot worse than 2-0 had it not been for some brilliant relief pitching from Tippy Martinez and Sam Stewart. The White Sox have stranded a pair of runners in each of the last 3 innings, and a total of 10 in the game. 1 out, bottom of the 9th. And Bunbury battling Lamar Hoyt with a count at a ball and a strike.
Need a base runner. He is trying to work him.
This will be out of play. Well, we've had 2 rather substantial rains this afternoon, and both have been very unusual. The sky that I look at out of the booth is just as blue as could be. We can see the sun shining, but yet it's raining very hard. What a changeup for Mr. Hoyt.
I think it was the element of surprise more than anything else, Chuck. That might have been the first straight change that we've seen Dewey throw all day, but certainly had Bunbury fooled. He was out in front, swung through it for strike 3, 2 away. The Orioles are down to their last out, bottom of the 9th inning.
Well, they have 1-ball games in the 9th inning with 2 out and nobody on. But this is one of the most important games they have played all year. Watching the left fielder Pachori giving chase. No, sir, he can't get it. It is a double for Dan Ford, who almost fell down on his way to second base on the sloppy infield, and it looks like he's hurt his leg, and they'll get a pinch runner for Dan Ford, and Ripken will come to the plate.
That was a long drive, left center field, over Pashorik's head. This ball hits right off the middle of the fence. Comes back to Pashorik, and Dan Ford at second base. Tito Landrum in to run for him now, and the tying run. Cal Ripken Jr. comes to the plate.
Tito Landrum is going to run Dan Ford into the dugout. He has at least lit the fuse. He has set the table for Cal Ripken. And the hardy Oriole fans who have stuck with the club, good days and bad, are at it again as Ripken, who has grounded to third, struck out, and bounced to second base, looks at Lamar Hoyt in the bottom of the ninth with 2 down. For the first time today, they have activated the Chicago bullpen. Strike to Ripken. This will be out of play. And right away, the big guy, Hoyt, has got Ripken in the hole, 2 strikes. Ten in a row were retired by Hoyt before the double by Dan Ford. The game now could be down to 1 pitch. Well, Ripken backs away. The rain has let up. Ripken played in every inning of every game. 1 ball, 2 strikes. What a collective sigh of relief from the spectators in the ball yard.
It put a little extra zip on it. Dewey knows what he has to do. 2 strikes, 1 ball. I'm thinking he's going to stay away as much as he can, and that's what he tries to do.
So he did a good job to even get a little bit of that, did Ripken. And the Bird hoping that lightning can strike again in the bottom of the ninth. Trailing 2-0. 2 out. Runner at second, running for Dan Ford is Tito Landrum. And now Cal Ripken runs out to pick up a piece of paper that flew onto the field. And now we're ready to go again with a count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Is it in there for the base hit? It is. The Orioles are still alive. Landrum scores, and it is 2-1.
Now Ripken, left ball inside. He fought it off and looped the fly ball to left center field. Makes it 2-1. And Eddie Murray comes to the plate. Dave Duncan pitching close to the White Sox on his way to the mound to have a quick chat with Lamar Hoyt.
Tell you, Lamar Hoyt looks like what he is, a hard-working pitcher, does he not?
Well, he made the pitch he wanted to, Chuck. He threw the ball right inside. He jammed Ripken, and Ripken looped it to left center field, so there's not much you can do about it.
Well, now the chant that is recognized all around the American League, and it means one man, Eddie Murray. And his story this afternoon against Lamar Hoyt. has grounded to second, gone out first baseman to the pitcher covering, and on the first pitch in the 7th inning hit a high fly ball to right fielder Harold Baines.
Eddie Murray, the Orioles RBI leader on the year, 111 runs driven in.
That's the force at second base, and the game is over. Well, the White Sox have done what they wanted so desperately to do. They have come to Baltimore and have won the opening game. The winner of this afternoon's Big Mac attack is David Gibbons of Club Road from the Bel Air McDonald's. He'll win $50. Congratulations to David Gibbons. WMAR and McDonald's want to thank the many thousands of loyal fans who have helped to make the Big Mac attack one of the most exciting and rewarding promotions this year. Well, the Orioles get 1 run in the 9th inning on 2 base hits, and they leave a man on. And the White Sox have taken the very important first game and will be back with more right after this message. Well, the first game of the American League Championship Series 1983 goes into the win column for the Chicago White Sox, who, believe me, pitched and played like champions should. Your nearby Dotson dealers donate $100 per Oriole telecast to the favorite charity of the Dotson Player of the Game. And we feel today that the Oriole team will be representative, and a $100 donation from your nearby Dotson dealers in the name of the Baltimore Orioles will go to the Johns Hopkins Children's Center. The White Sox winning 2-1 over the Orioles. 2 runs, 7 hits, no errors, 10 left. The Orioles 1 run, 5 hits, 1 error, 3 left. Winning pitcher Lamar Hoyt, and the losing pitcher is Scott McGregor. And that is it from Memorial Stadium. A reminder, the next televised game will be tomorrow night at 8 o'clock when the Orioles take on the Chicago White Sox in Game 2 of the American League Playoff Series. Until then, Chuck Thompson for Brooks Robinson and the entire Oriole telecast team saying a very pleasant good evening. Again, the final score, the White Sox 2, the Orioles 1. Has been brought to you by Budweiser Light. The best never comes easy. That's why there's nothing else like it. Nissan, builders of high-mileage, high-quality cars and trucks for 50 years. Available at your Dotson dealer. Ezrine Auto Centers and your local independent General Tire dealers. Coca-Cola. Coke is it. Crown. Everything you want a gasoline station to be.